Chapter 6:12. After singing Old Guy, Liao Jia, the old guy, had beads of sweat on his forehead. Although he said it was for fun, he was still very focused and serious when it came to singing. Even if he was not at his peak in the past, it was enough to shock everyone present. The people in the Black 6 bar expressed their respect and love with neat and warm applause. Although there were not many fans present, the atmosphere and momentum they created was not worse than some concert scenes. Anyone who was in it would feel their blood boiling and excitement surging. For a singer, this feeling was unparalleled. "Thank you," Liao Jia said, "thank you for still liking the songs of an old guy like me." Someone immediately shouted, "Brother Liao, you'll never get old. You'll always be 28 years old." Always be 28 years old. This was what Liao Jia once said to his fans at a concert. Those who were familiar with Liao Jia knew this joke. Many people laughed and shouted, "Brother Liao will always be 28 years old." Liao Jia also laughed. He smiled and waved his hand, saying, "That was in the past. I'm really old now. The future belongs to the young people, too." He turned around and pointed at Lu Chen, saying, "That's theirs. Let Lu Chen sing a song for you." Okay. Although Liao Jia only sang Old Guy and had no intention of continuing, everyone was still satisfied. Moreover, Lu Chen was also a singer they liked. Therefore, the applause continued to welcome Lu Chen. Lu Chen found it hard to refuse the enthusiasm. He said while holding his guitar, "Brother Liao is too modest. I also think he will never get old. At least in our hearts." Everyone laughed, and someone whistled loudly in great agreement. Lu Chen continued, "I'm also half a Hangzhou person. This time, I came with Brother Liao, Miss Chen Fei, and Sister Shi Fang to record the show, China's Voice. I hope everyone will support us." The laughter in the bar became even louder. No one expected Lu Chen to advertise his show here. A few fans shouted, "We'll definitely support you." "Thank you," Lu Chen smiled and said, "Then I will sing a song for everyone. I wrote this song before, but I have never sung it. I hope everyone will like it." Huh? Lu Chen was going to sing a new song. Everyone suddenly became excited. Everyone felt that tonight was too perfect. They were really too lucky. Today was actually a very ordinary day, but they were lucky enough to meet their idol here. First, they heard Liao Jia sing Old Man live, and then they would be able to enjoy the new song composed by Lu Chen. People would die of envy if they said it out loud. Many people took out their mobile phones and showed off in blogs, Tieba, or QQ groups. He had never had such an opportunity before, and there might not be another one in the future. If he didn't show off now, when would he? Even Chen Fei pointed his phone camera at Lu Chen. However, she was not only recording, but she also opened the Whale TV app on her mobile phone, logged into the account of Lu Chen's Anchor Studio, and opened a live broadcast for him. Lu Chen signed a sky-high endorsement contract with Whale TV. Of course, he had the obligation to work after taking other people's money. There were also requirements for live broadcast time, so he couldn't be too casual. So usually, if Lu Chen had any important activities, the original studio would arrange for a live broadcast, which brought a lot of popularity and fan resources to Whale TV, and fulfilled his contract. This kind of formal live broadcast usually had advance notice, and sometimes, Lu Chen would suddenly open a live broadcast to give his fans a big surprise. All along, Lu Chen has been very sincere in managing his fans, so he has never abandoned the fans he first met in Whale TV, nor has he abandoned the Whale TV that gave him strong support. It's just that most of the time, Lu Chen couldn't do it himself. He had to borrow the hands of others. For example, the current Chen Fei. Chen Fei installed the Whale TV app on her mobile phone. She did not open a live broadcast in it, just to help Lu Chen complete the contracted time when it was inconvenient for him. Wasn't this an excellent opportunity? Of course, she also felt that it was quite interesting and fun. On the Whale TV, side, Lu Chen's anchor studio logged into the live broadcast and his online fans all received the system notification, so they ran over immediately. Wow! What day is it today? Big Lu Chen started a live broadcast? I just saw on the blog that my Chen, my Fei, Liao Jia, and Shifang were eating together. What happened? Could it be that China's voice? Throwing flowers to celebrate. I haven't seen my Chen on Whale TV for a long time. Damn, I just came up and I saw a bunch of aircraft carriers. It's going to explode again. Hey, which bar is this? I saw Lu Chen. I'm curious, who's taking pictures with their mobile phones? I'm curious too. All kinds of bullet screens and GIFs flew up, filling the interface of the anchor studio. The number of viewers in the room skyrocketed, worthy of Lu Chen's title as the #1 celebrity anchor of Whale TV. Chen Feier, who was holding the camera, saw the bullet screen messages on the screen. She pursed her lips and smiled, reached out to open the anchor window, and used the front camera to take a picture of herself at the same time, appearing in the anchor studio. The anchor studio suddenly exploded, and the fans were excited. It's actually my Fei. Chen Feier. Chen Feier. Chen Feier. Chen Feier. Chen Feier. As I expected, it's my Chen and my Fei. That's great. Don't say anything else, let's throw the fish balls. My Fei will always be so beautiful. If the most popular person in Lu Chen's anchor studio is Lu Chen, then the second is Chen Feier. It's just that Chen Feier doesn't have much time to appear on screen, not to mention that she personally acts as an anchor for Lu Chen. But as long as she doesn't say a word or interact with the fans, everyone is still extremely satisfied. Then at this time, Shifang, who was sitting next to her, came over and curiously wanted to see the effect of Chen Feier's selfie. As a result, she also appeared in the selfie. This time, the fans directly exploded. Shifang. What the F***CK, the two heavenly queens. The live broadcast tonight is going to set a record, so lucky. It's really Shifang, I'm your fan. I feel like crying. In just a few minutes, the online fans in the live broadcast room have exceeded 200,000, but everyone's attention was completely attracted by the two heavenly queens, ignoring Lu Chen who was preparing to sing on the stage. Chapter 613. The lights in the bar dimmed, and the light from a spotlight fell on Lu Chen. Lu Chen sat on a high stool. He put one foot on the stool and held the guitar casually. Gently plucking the strings, Lu Chen had a feeling of going back to the past, back to the time when he was a resident singer in Forget Grass Bar. But now he is not the original him. Time is too fast, and too many people and things have changed. Soon, the bar quieted down, and the emotions aroused by Liao Jia's song, Old Guy, gradually subsided, and the atmosphere became peaceful and relaxed. Lu Chen reached out and adjusted the position of the microphone, and then said, "The name of this song is The Story of Time." His eyes looked ahead, as if staring at the endless void, and there was a trace of memory in his calm eyes. The flowers in spring bloom, the wind in autumn, and the setting sun in winter, melancholy youth, I used to think so ignorantly. The windmill turns every day in the song of the cycle of the 4 seasons, I grow up year after year in the poem of wind, flower, snow and moon. The flowing water takes away the story of time and changes a person in that sentimental and waiting youth for the first time. Yellowed photographs, old letters, and faded Christmas cards. I'm afraid you've forgotten the songs I wrote for you when I was young. In the domestic pop music world, when it comes to Lu Chen, original folk songs are an inescapable topic. Lu Chen created his own world with his original, campus folk songs. You Who Sat Next to Me, The Brother Who Slept on My Upper Bunk, Love in the Wind, and other classic works are still sung by countless people, especially on campus. Many people like Lu Chen because they like his folk songs. But today's Lu Chen, in terms of creative style, has already moved from folklight rock to more popular love songs. These classic folk works can only exist in his past albums. For the more than 100 fans in Black 6 Bar at this moment, they were extremely lucky, because they heard another new folk song by Lu Chen, and it was a typical campus folk song. Most importantly, Lu Chen's reprise of the folk song, whether it was the melody or the lyrics, was still so touching. Old vows are like colorful bookmarks in a textbook. There were many beautiful poems, but in the end, it was just smoke. The story of flowing water carrying away time changed two people. In that sentimental and first tearful youth. The long journey, the dream of yesterday, and the faraway laughter. How many journeys did it take for us to meet again? No longer the old familiar me with the old feverish dreams, nor is it the familiar you of the past who still has the same smile. The water, which carries away the time, changes us. In those sentimental memories of youth. Who didn't have a past? Who doesn't have youth? Who doesn't have a past worth remembering? Looking back on the past, who doesn't have regrets in life? This song, The Story of Time, which was played and sung by Lu Chen, easily evoked the memories buried in people's hearts. Youth is fleeting, time is fleeting, the flowing water takes away the story of time, and also takes away the sentimental youth. The listeners in Black 6 Bar were basically in their 30s or 40s. Most of them had already got married and started a career. Many of them worked hard in this city and understood the ruthlessness of time and the vicissitudes of life. This song, The Story of Time, mercilessly touched the softest part of their hearts. The layers of camouflage heart shields were so easily penetrated by Lu Chen's affectionate singing, and were unexpectedly exposed. One of the women, who was obviously an elite in the workplace, had a sparkling light in her eyes. She bit her lips tightly, and no one knew what she was recalling. Her expression changed, sometimes sweet and sometimes painful. Lu Chen's singing and the scene of the scene were also presented in the anchor room through Chen Fei's mobile phone. The messy barrage quickly disappeared, and even the tips disappeared. It became unprecedentedly quiet. At this time, in Lu Chen's anchor room of Whale TV, the online audience has exceeded the 1 million mark. Although Chen Fei still held her mobile phone dutifully, her mind was not on it at all. She was also deeply moved by this song, The Story of Time. She stared at Lu Chen intently, and her eyes flashed with tenderness. Time is ruthless, and her youth is also passing away. But to be able to be with Lu Chen, what a blessing in life. In those sentimental memories of youth for the first time. When Lu Chen sang the last line of the lyrics and played the last note, the audience was silent. Everyone was still immersed in the atmosphere created by the song. No one applauded, cheered, or spoke. It was not until the crisp sound of a bottle falling that everyone seemed to wake up from a dream. Then the applause sounded fiercely. It was very neat, pure, and clean. Everyone could only express their love for The Story of Time in this way, as well as their admiration for Lu Chen. At the same time, they thanked him for creating a new folk song that could become a classic. Chen Fei temporarily turned off the live broadcast. She put her mobile phone on the table and applauded with everyone. But she suddenly felt something strange. She turned her head and saw that Shifang, who was sitting next to her, had tears in her eyes. Chen Fei couldn't help but be shocked. She quickly held Shifang's hand and said, "Sister Shifang?" Shifang embarrassedly raised her hand to wipe her tears. She said with a smile, "I'm sorry. I remembered something from the past." Lu Chen's song is so well written. Who doesn't have a past? Chen Fei nodded understandingly and said softly, "Then let's go back early." Because she could see that Shifang's smile was very forced. Obviously, she was full of worries. Chapter 6:14. Lu Chen had just come out of the Black 6 bar when he was shocked by the scene outside. He did not know when, but the bar was surrounded by countless people, blocking the entire street. Anxious car horns could be heard from afar, and many police officers were trying to maintain order. When they saw Lu Chen and the others, there was a commotion in the crowd, and many people started shouting. Lu Chen. Chen Fei, Shifang. These people were all fans who had rushed over after receiving the news. They could not enter the bar, so they waited outside. Among them were many teenage girls, holding fluorescent placards in their hands. Now that they had finally seen their idol, the fans could not hold themselves back anymore, and they all rushed over. These passionate fans wanted to get close to their idol, to get an autograph, to take a picture, or even to shake hands. Everyone had the same thought, and the scene became even more chaotic. If it was not for the bar staff and auxiliary police forming a human wall in time to stop the crowd, Lu Chen and the others would have been drowned by the crowd. Seeing this situation, Lu Min, who was escorting them out, was so scared that he started sweating. If anything happened, he would be the one to blame. What was supposed to be a good thing was going to become a bad thing. Go back, let's go back first. Whether it was Chen Fei, or Shi Fang, they were both people who had experienced great storms and waves. They had seen all kinds of fans, so they calmly retreated to the bar immediately, so as not to cause more trouble. Lu Chen followed them back. Lu Min wiped his cold sweat and said, "Let's go through the back door, there's a small path out." Lu Chen. A girl's cry came from outside the door, and it was very loud. Lu Chen could not bear to hear it. If he was alone, he would have no problem meeting his fans, signing autographs, taking pictures, and so on. However, he had Chen Fei, and Shi Fang with him, so he could not act willfully. Ignoring her was the right choice. He silently apologized to the fan in his heart, then took out his phone to inform his assistant to drive to the nearest back door of the bar to pick her up. With Ryu Min's cover, they were able to return to the hotel without any mishaps. From that night onwards, Lu Chen and Chen Fei would no longer be staying at Tian's house, and officially moved to the Shangri-La Hotel. That was because the 5-star hotel was the sponsor of The Voice of China. Not only did they sponsor the show, they also hosted the 4 superstar coaches for free. The 4 of them each had a luxury suite on the 58th floor. The hotel specially strengthened security, and designated a special VIP area. Normal people could not enter, including paparazzi. Although Lu Chen and Chen each had their own rooms, they were definitely staying together. However, Chen Fei did not return to her room immediately, but went to Shi Fang. Although she had only heard it once, there were not many mistakes in the melody and lyrics, showing that she had a good memory and sense of music. Chen Fei's singing style was different from Lu Chen's. It was not as heavy and sad, but more of a warm memory. It was like a spring breeze blowing through the fields, making people feel intoxicated. Lu Chen also liked it. "Then I'll give you this song to sing." Chen Fei pursed her lips and smiled. "I'll just sing a cover, but I think Sister Shi Fang will appreciate it." Lu Chen nodded. This time, Shi Fang agreed to come to Hangzhou to be a mentor for The Voice of China. Other than giving face to Lu Gangsheng, she was also giving him big face. It should be known that this Xiangjiang heavenly queen rarely appeared on variety shows and did not even like to appear on TV. So, of course, Lu Chen had to repay her. If Shi Fang really liked this song and wanted to sing it, then he was very willing to let her do it. "Let's not talk about this anymore." Lu Chen stood up with Chen Fei in his arms and said with a smile, "Let's go take a shower first and rest early tonight." Chen Fei's pretty face was instantly dyed with a layer of red, and her eyes were so charming that they were about to drip water. Lu Chen laughed and strode to the bathroom with her in his arms. Tonight was going to be another beautiful night. Chapter 615. Hangzhou, Zhidong Satellite TV Station Studio 1. This studio, which can accommodate 1,250 viewers, was just opened by Zhidong Satellite TV Station at the beginning of this year, replacing the original main studio. It was also the recording place for the first episode of the first season of China's Voice Today. Although the size of this studio of Zhidong Satellite TV Station was not the largest among its peers, it was newly built, so the facilities inside were very advanced. It was equipped with one of the few LED ultra-high-definition giant background screens in the country, as well as the top sound system and recording equipment. In the next month, Studio 1 would be used for the recording of China's Voice. As the producer of China's Voice, Star Factory Media was able to obtain the right to use Zhidong Satellite TV Station Studio 1. In addition to Tian's own network resources, What was more important was that Zhejiang's satellite TV station was very optimistic about the cooperation between the two parties. In order to ensure the broadcasting rights, they put out a very sincere bargaining chip. The reason was very simple. In addition to Tian, Star Factory Media had two other shareholders, that is, Lu Chen and Chen Fei. Was there any possibility of the program produced by the two of them failing? Thinking about Autumn in My Heart and Full House of Romance, as well as A Chinese Ghost Story, which had just earned more than 1 billion in the domestic box office, the answer was no doubt. The publicity for China's Voice had long been launched, and Zhejiang's satellite TV station had also vigorously cooperated. If it was any other purchased program, it would not have such treatment. Now that everything was ready, all that was left was the east wind. The studio had long been redecorated, and the iconic logo of China's Voice hung high above the black dome, shining brightly under the spotlights. But the most eye-catching thing was the 4 big red chairs placed in front of the performance stage. There were still 2 hours before the official start of the recording, but the 4 mentors had already arrived at the studio in advance. Except for Lu Chen, the other 3 were all attracted by the 4 exaggerated and unique chairs. "This is the mentor's swivel chair?" Chen Fei asked curiously. "Custom-made?" "It looks like it has a lot of functions." She had seen the planning plan of China's Voice a long time ago and knew that the mentor's swivel chair needed to be specially made to highlight the uniqueness of the program and to enhance the difference between China's Voice and other reality talent shows. However, this was the first time she had seen a complete swivel chair. These 4 chairs were placed in front of him. First of all, their imposing manner was quite astonishing. There was an independent black turntable under each chair, and there were also light belts, sound systems, and other devices on the chairs. Lu Chen smiled and replied, "Yes, the structure of the instructor's swivel chair is a little complicated. This is because this is an intelligent, high-tech, and high-end product. The system precisely controls the audio, lighting, rotation, and other functions. There are also massage functions and so on. Everyone can sit on it and feel it now." After coming up with the idea and proposal for the Voice of China, he basically did not bother with it anymore, leaving it to Tianwei's Star Factory Media to handle. Only the 4 rotating coaches' chairs were supervised by him throughout the entire production process. The main body of the swivel chair was made with a bright red leather high back and cushion. It was necessary to ensure that the mentors did not wear headphones and had their backs facing the students, yet still have the best listening effect. This set a very high requirement on the structure of the chair, and at the same time, the distance between the chair and the main sound system was also very particular. The basic design was personally drawn by Lu Chen, and the functional requirements were also proposed by him. For example, the swivel chair had a core component, a motor installed under the chair that was responsible for precise rotation. It also had a shock absorption function, and a locking device was installed in the background to ensure that the chair would only rotate when a button was pressed. With all these factors, and the small number of production, the accumulated cost was very high. The 4 chairs, along with 1 spare part and some spare parts, all added up to more than 2 million. It had a very high level of technology, or else it would not be able to reflect the prestige of China's Voice. Of course, Lu Chen had registered a global patent for the swivel chair, and China's Voice had also registered the program's copyright to ensure that it would not be imitated by others without any integrity. In the future, they might even be able to sell it overseas. Chen Fei, Shifang, and Liao Jia sat on the chair as instructed, and a staff member explained the functions to the 3 of them. Liao Jia shifted his butt, allowing himself to comfortably lean into the chair. The leather used for the mentor's swivel chair was imported calf leather. The texture was delicate and soft, and it felt great to the touch. Coupled with the design being in line with the principles of ergonomics, the wrappability and support were excellent, and the feeling of sitting on it was naturally extraordinary. He even tried out the massage function of the chair, and then gave a thumbs up to Lu Chen. "Like it?" Lu Chen could not help but laugh. It would be a problem if he did not like a chair that was worth 400,000 renminbi each. Chen Fei pressed a hidden button under the armrest, and a gentle breeze blew, causing her hair to flutter. Fang found it interesting, and also gave it a try. Chapter 616. On May 16, the latest issue of New Economic Weekly magazine was released, and the cover character was Lu Chen. New Economic Weekly is the leading economic magazine in China. It was founded in 1991 and has a history of 26 years. It has been published every week without interruption and has a high influence in China, especially in the economic field. The cover characters of this economic weekly are usually well-known economists, business operators, and people who have influence on the current economic system. Lu Chen, as a star in the entertainment industry, was actually on the cover of New Economic Weekly, which gave people a feeling that it was a bit strange. When did New Economic Weekly also take the entertainment route? On the cover, Lu Chen was standing in front of the microphone with a guitar in his arms. The background was pure black. His eyes were looking straight ahead. His eyes were calm and deep, as if he could see through people's hearts. It was undeniable that this character photo was excellent. Readers naturally felt very surprised and curious. It was not until they read a long character interview article in the weekly that they finally understood that New Economic Weekly was not having a brain cramp. Because this article focused on Lu Chen's achievements in the business field. The reporters of New Economic Weekly were quite resourceful. They first dug out the inside story of Lu Chen's investment in setting up the crowdfunding website. Lu Chen not only created a new internet financing model, but also made a lot of profits in the investment process, showing an extraordinary business sense and creative inspiration. Nowadays, the crowdfunding model is one of the hot spots on the internet all over the world. First of all, the crowdfunding website has occupied a high market share, especially in China. Although with the expiration of commercial creative copyrights, similar platforms have sprung up like bamboo shoots after a spring rain, no one has been able to shake the hegemony of the crowdfunding website. According to reliable sources, the crowdfunding website has been preparing to be listed on NASDAQ in the United States. The probability of passing the application is very high, and once it is successfully listed, the market value in the industry will be at least more than $1 billion. And Lu Chen holds 10% of the founder's shares that cannot be diluted, which means that he may have a net worth of hundreds of millions of US dollars in an instant after the crowdfunding website is listed on NASDAQ. How many young people in China who started from scratch are stronger than Lu Chen? In addition, Lu Chen's business achievements are more than that. He also invested in the establishment of Happy Digital Interactive Entertainment Company. Limited ordinary people may be a little unfamiliar with the name of this company, but when it comes to Happy Farm, I am afraid that everyone knows it. That was because this little game was currently the most popular casual mobile/web game. It had set off a nationwide trend of stealing vegetables. Countless people farmed, fertilized, killed pests, and picked vegetables in their virtual fields day and night. Of course, they also stole vegetables. It had even caused a huge discussion in the media. Happy Farm is the first game of Happy Digital Interactive Entertainment Company, Limited. It was reported that many video game giants were interested in Happy Farm and were interested in acquiring or investing in Happy Entertainment. This once again proved Lu Chen's extraordinary business ability. Putting aside the layer of star coat, it is not an exaggeration to say that Lu Chen is a business genius. It is normal for him to be on the cover of the New Economic Weekly. The New Economic Weekly's report, along with its cover, first caused quite a bit of a reaction among the magazine's readers. Then, it quickly spread to the internet, causing an even wider influence. Especially Lu Chen's fans, they were even more surprised. It turns out that Lu Chen is the boss of Happy Farm. I recharged more than 10 yuan. I should have recharged more. My Chen is so mighty, appearing on the cover of the New Economic Weekly. I don't think there are many celebrities in the entertainment industry that can appear on this cover, right? I remember there was only one in the past because I subscribed to the New Economic Weekly. Come on, big Lu Chen. No wonder Chen Fei posted on his blog about Happy Farm last time. It's all a trick. I, Chen, am a genius. There is no doubt about it. It wasn't just Lu Chen's fans who were surprised. His friends in the circle were also surprised. Everyone congratulated him and even joked that they wanted the billionaire to treat them. Of course, it was inevitable that some people would say some sour words and even question the authenticity of the New Economic Weekly report. Lu Chen's talent in music and film was enough to make people jealous. Now that he was suddenly said to have a very outstanding performance in business investment, some people felt that it was unacceptable. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have accepted their interview. In the room of the Shangri-La Hotel, Lu Chen threw the new issue of the New Economic Weekly that had just been sent by his assistant on the desk, and said to Chen Fei, with a wry smile, "They want to roast me on the grill." Last week, Lu Chen was interviewed by the New Economic Weekly in Beijing. Because the New Economic Weekly had a great influence in China, and he was also very curious, there was this interview. He never thought that the reporter of the New Economic Weekly would be so well informed. Through this interview, he dug out a lot of details about him on the crowdfunding website and Happy Entertainment. When he founded the crowdfunding website, Lu Chen was not low-key. Later, after transferring the shares to the Li family, he basically withdrew from the business and settled down as a small shareholder. As for Happy Entertainment, Lu Chen was very low-key. He only worked with Chen Fei, to promote Happy Farm. He never shouted that he was the actual shareholder of Happy Entertainment. Now that the New Economic Weekly's investigation and praise of him, it will undoubtedly push him to the forefront of public opinion. The main reason was that there was a certain degree of controversy in the game Happy Farm. What's there to be afraid of? Chen Fei said with a smile, "It's too late for others to be envious. Besides, you don't need to be afraid of any rumors now. Just concentrate on your own career. As long as you have a clear conscience, you don't need to worry about what others think." Lu Chen thought about it and agreed. In the entertainment industry, you must have the courage to bear all kinds of right and wrong. Many times, you can't keep a low profile even if you want to. Instead of hiding, it's better to face it in a big way. After figuring this out, Lu Chen quickly put this matter behind him. On the cover of the New Economic Weekly, in addition to making Lu Chen the focus of public opinion again, countless fans are also more concerned about the first season of The Voice of China that will be broadcast on the 19th. As a mentor, what kind of wonderful performance will Lu Chen perform? Chapter 617. The cover report of New Economic Weekly has had a great impact on Lu Chen, giving him the title of business genius, in addition to musical genius. Some people even think that he shouldn't be in the entertainment industry. If he enters the business world, then he is likely to be among the Forbes list of young billionaires in China, provided, of course, that the crowdfunding website is successfully listed on Nasdaq. For such remarks, Lu Chen just smiled. Although the crowdfunding website was his business idea, it was Li Mushi who really made the crowdfunding website bigger and stronger and went abroad. Without the power and background of the Li family, relying on his own strength alone, he would at most be able to get the name of the founder of the crowdfunding model. How could he become a billionaire? Apart from anything else, without the help of the Li family, the commercial creative copyright of the crowdfunding website could not have been approved. Therefore, not only did Lu Chen not have any regrets about transferring most of the shares of the crowdfunding website to the Li family, but he was very glad that he made a decisive choice at the beginning. Once the crowdfunding website is listed on Nasdaq, he will be able to enjoy the amazing benefits of 10% of the original shares. His net worth can at least be multiplied several times. What else is there to be dissatisfied with? On the internet and in the entertainment industry, the discussion about Lu Chen's wealth is also very heated. Everyone thinks that Lu Chen will definitely be on the Forbes list of rich stars in China this year. The Forbes list of rich stars in China is published every December and is divided into several lists. Last year, Chen Fei ranked second on the list of rich stars with an annual income of 57 million yuan, ranking first among all female stars. At that time, Lu Chen was not included in the list, but this year, his name will definitely be on it. Everyone is certain. The only thing that is uncertain is where he will rank. Most of the discussions about Lu Chen's net worth on the internet are positive, and there are very few comments about hatred of the rich. Even if there are, they are often sprayed with dog blood. Because since Lu Chen's debut, he has earned every penny fair and square. He has not sold dogskin plaster, he has not deceived fans, and even the most profitable advertisements are rarely accepted. He only cooperates with reputable big brands and pays taxes according to the regulations. There is no illegal behavior. Most importantly, while Lu Chen was making money, he was also doing charity seriously. The charity fund he and Chen Feier jointly established had an excellent reputation, and it really helped many leukemia patients. TN, Part 2, many stars engage in charity and donate hundreds of thousands of yuan, but they can't wait to send the news to all the media. Moreover, there have been repeated scandals of donation fraud, and even those so-called charity funds to deceive the public. Although Chen Fei Charity Fund is also a public fund, it has never solicited donations from ordinary people and fans. All the money comes from donations from the two and their friends in the circle, and the accounts are truly open and transparent. In the field of charity in the country, Chen Fei Charity Fund is very low-key, but it has a good reputation that others can't reach, which has also brought Lu Chen a very high reputation. Most people hate the rich, and they hate the heartless rich. Lu Chen's money came from a clear source, and he has never done anything superficial like flaunting his wealth, so he naturally won the sincere appreciation and love of his fans. Therefore, when the New Economic Weekly exposed Lu Chen's business deeds, there were some who were curious, some who were envious, and some who were in awe, but there was not much jealousy or hatred. On the contrary, before the first episode of China's Voice was officially broadcasted, a moderately controversial news broke out. On the 17th of May, a Waves blogger certified as a vagrant singer Roxanne, posted a blog post on her blog, saying that she had encountered unfair treatment during the audition for China's Voice. The singer named Roxanne did not have much fame, and according to her resume on her blog, she had just returned from overseas, and was currently an independent singer and freelance singer in Beijing. She had participated in the audition in Beijing. The so-called unfair treatment she encountered was that she sang a famous English song during the audition. Then, after singing a few lines, she was asked by the audition judge to sing a Chinese song again. Roxanne was very angry about this, as she had prepared for a long time for the song, and believed that her singing skills were not inferior to the original singer. In the end, she did not expect the audition judges to think that she did not meet the rules, and even had a sarcastic tone in their comments. Roxanne refused to change the song, and was mercilessly eliminated, which made her very angry. After participating in the audition, she was depressed for a few days, and only managed to recover a little today. She could not understand it. There had never been a talent show, especially a singing reality show, that rejected English songs. Could it be that the audition judges did not understand English, so they directly passed it? Singer Roxanne had very few fans on her blog, less than 100,000, and most of them were zombie fans, as the number of clicks and comments on her daily blog posts was pitifully low. However, this blog post received a lot of attention, and the number of forwards exceeded 5,000 on the same day, so it attracted the attention of many people. Although it had little to do with Lu Chen, many of Lu Chen's fans went to Roxanne's blog to mock her after seeing the forwarded blog post, thinking that she was trying to create hype. She was clearly not good enough, but she still wanted to gain popularity. She was simply shameless. There were all kinds of people on the internet, and some people's tone was sharp and even mean. As a result, Roxanne flew into a rage out of humiliation, arguing with the people who mocked her on her blog, and even scolded Lu Chen. This infuriated even more Lu Chen fans, so the blog comments section of Singer Roxanne was flooded with all kinds of sarcasm. Roxanne was not one to be trifled with. The more she was scolded, the more excited she became. She kept posting to accuse the so-called fake reviewers and mobs, thinking that she was being suppressed as a talented and capable newcomer. Because of this, the matter was blown out of proportion, and even Lu Chen found out about it. However, Lu Chen did not respond, but the official blog of China's Voice gave a clear explanation. The audition of China's Voice had many clear requirements for the contestants. One of them was that the singers could only sing Mandarin songs, including Cantonese and other dialects. It was not only for the audition, but also for the rest of the competition. As this was the voice of China, Chinese people naturally had to sing Chinese songs. Performing English songs that the majority of the audience could not understand or appreciate on stage was not in line with the program's principles. This rule was printed out in black and white for all the singers to see. It was normal for Roxanne to be eliminated for violating the rules, and there was no issue of unfair treatment. Chapter 618. A statement on the official blog of China's Voice explained the rules of the program clearly. It directly slapped Luo Zhan in the face. In addition, singers who participated in the audition posted a text message on their blog, as well as the notice they received during the audition, which clearly stated the rules. The facts and evidence were there. This time, Lu Chen's fans found the basis and forcefully pressed Luo Zhan to the ground. Many people also made up jokes or photoshopped various pictures, turning the comments section of the latter's blog into a sea of joy. Luo Zhan was speechless after being refuted by China's Voice's official blog. She simply closed the blog comments and pretended to be deaf and mute. Continuing to argue would only humiliate herself. Luo Zhan must have the idea of using the momentum to hype up and also spent money to hire a promoter. However, she did not expect Lu Chen's influence to be so great, and the fighting power of his fans was so strong. If she continued to make a fuss, she would probably not be able to survive in this industry. During this process, Lu Chen did not participate at all and directly ignored the other party. When an artist becomes famous, all kinds of disputes will come. This kind of deliberately creating a topic to hype oneself up was a small trick. There were worse things everywhere. No celebrity has not encountered it before. For example, Chen Fei, who made a name for herself more than 10 years after her debut. In the past, she had a lot of scandals. Some were made up by paparazzi, some were hyped up by the other party, and some were even carefully planned by a media agency. In the entertainment industry, it was impossible to be completely clean and untainted by dust. However, as long as one held the bottom line and was not tempted by fame and fortune, it was difficult to maintain one's original heart, but it was not impossible. Therefore, in such a situation, ignoring was the best choice. Fighting back was the least desirable. If the other party went too far, then they would directly send a lawyer's letter to sue. Only in this way could they deter the rascals. In the midst of the commotion and noise, at 8:30 p.m. on May 19th, the first episode of the first season of China's Voice was broadcast on Zhejiang Satellite TV station. China's Voice was a reality show produced by Star Factory Media. Zhejiang Satellite TV station bought the exclusive copyright in the form of ratings, so the TV station attached great importance to it. The program's publicity work was vigorous, and the posters of the four mentors were even posted on the streets of Hangzhou. And this brand new singing talent show has also attracted a lot of attention nationwide, especially the fans of Lu Chen, Chen Fei, Shifang, and Liao Jia. They all turned on their TVs or computers to watch the premiere of Zhejiang Satellite TV station. 8:00 that night, Jinling Xuanwu District, Changjiang South Street, Ezio Bar. Chi Hao squeezed through the crowd to the front of the bar and said to the busy bartender, "Give me 2 cups of 5 colors and a Haagen-Dazs ice cream." Ezio Bar was a popular bar on Changjiang South Street. Its main customers were university students and young people who had just entered society. The atmosphere was relaxed and free. There was nothing messy, and the prices were very affordable. The bar was equipped with a big screen TV. When it came to the World Cup or Champions League games, the place was often full of customers. Everyone gathered at the table to drink beer and watch the game, which was also a rare relaxation enjoyment. Usually, there were also singers here. If the guests liked it, they could also go up and sing by themselves. Sometimes, they could even see the scene of a marriage proposal on the spot. Chi Hao had been to Ezio Bar several times and liked the atmosphere here very much. So the second time he organized a group event for Lu Chen's Jinling support group fans, he set the venue at Ezio Bar. The last time he booked a place to watch, a Chinese ghost story, was very successful. Many fans who missed the opportunity complained in the group, so Chi Hao organized another one, but this time it was not to watch a movie, but to watch TV. To watch the premiere of China's Voice. Speaking of which, it was really unheard of to organize a group of people to watch a variety show in a bar. However, Lu Chen's fans were very enthusiastic, so Chi Hao responded with a single call. There were hundreds of fans who came in the evening, booking the entire EZO bar. Actually, Chi Hao had his own selfish reasons for organizing this event. The bartender knew Chi Hao and knew that he was the organizer of the booking, so he gave him face. After mixing a glass of wine for others, he mixed it for him first, and even gave him a glass of Häagen-Dazs ice cream for free. Business was too good at night. There was almost no space in such a big place, and there were not enough waiters. Holding 2 cocktails and ice cream, Chi Hao squeezed his way back to his seat. There were already 2 girls sitting at the small table. One of them ordered a cocktail, while the other took a glass of Häagen-Dazs ice cream. And this ice cream girl was Chi Hao's selfish reason. The ice cream girl was also a fan of Lu Chen. Her ID in the support group was Azure Sea. The last time he booked the place to watch, a Chinese ghost story, Chi Hao's seat was next to Azure Sea, so they got to know each other. At that time, he was already moved by Azure Sea. After finding out that she did not have a boyfriend, he carefully started to pursue her. Although they were still in the phase of pursuing, the 2 of them had gone from strangers to close friends. At least Azure Sea did not refuse his pursuit, so there was hope for success. The other girl who ordered the cocktail was Azure Sea's best friend. She was inseparable from Azure Sea. Last time, she cheated Chi Hao of a lot of ice cream, making him eat instant noodles for a whole week. Thank you, Azure Sea smiled slightly to express his gratitude, and his charming smile made Chi Hao stare at her. Come on. The best friend waved her hand in front of Chi Hao's eyes and asked, why hasn't the show started yet? The big screen in the bar was playing an advertisement. Chi Hao woke up from his dream and couldn't help but blush. He quickly took out his phone and looked at the time. It's about to start. He tried to please her again. Do you want to eat some snacks or something? I'll go get it. Azure Sea shook his head and said, no, I don't eat snacks at night. I've gained a lot of weight recently. You're still fat? The best friend couldn't help but roll her eyes and said, then I should jump off a building. Chi Hao smiled foolishly. He also felt that Azure Sea was not fat at all. In fact, he was a little thinner and very slender. Right at that moment, the large LED screen hanging on the wall switched. Soul-stirring music rang out in the bar, and a hand made from CG holding a microphone appeared on the screen. The logo of China's top voice was dazzling. It had begun. Everyone's attention was drawn to it. Chapter 619. 8:20 p.m., Whale TV, Lu Chen Live Broadcasting Room. Nearly 2 years have passed, and today's Lu Chen Live Broadcasting Room has become a famous signboard in Whale TV. It has the most fans, the highest number of online viewers, the highest number of tips, and other records on the platform. The cooperation between Lu Chen and Whale TV can also be called a model for star artists to cooperate with new online media. Lu Chen has gathered a large number of fans and popularity through this online platform, and Whale TV has also obtained countless benefits through Lu Chen. Last year alone, Whale TV signed more than 10 famous star anchors, which has brought a significant increase in registered users. It can be said to be a win-win situation. Although other platforms have offered Lu Chen a very high price, Lu Chen insisted on renewing his contract with Whale TV, and the cooperative relationship between the two sides is very good. In order to retain the big shot, Lu Chen, Whale TV, has made a lot of optimization and resources for his live broadcasting room, and even added an additional membership function for Lu Chen's fans. Tonight, the first episode of the first season of China's Voice will be broadcast live on Zhejiang Satellite TV station. Whale TV has obtained the authorization to broadcast it and started publicity a few days in advance. So at this moment, in the live broadcasting room, a large number of Lu Chen's fans and onlookers have gathered. To watch variety shows on TV, the effect is naturally the best with a big screen TV, and the clarity is also the highest. But today's young people's use of TV has greatly decreased. Even if everyone has a TV at home, many people are still willing to choose to watch through the internet. A live broadcasting platform like Whale TV is different from ordinary video websites. The live broadcasting room is more interactive. Everyone can send barrage comments and tip fish balls to express their support, which is more interesting and entertaining. Therefore, just after 8:00, the number of online viewers in Lu Chen's exclusive live broadcasting room has exceeded the 2 million mark, and it is still increasing at a rapid rate. It is estimated that it will not be a problem to surpass the record of 3 million. And tonight's live broadcast host of China's Voice is Li Feiyu, who everyone is familiar with and loves. The show is about to start. Is everyone ready for their fish balls? In an instant, the barrage was like a tide, mixed with countless falling fish balls. This kind of scene was very common in Lu Chen's broadcasting room. Many rich fans didn't care about the 100 times fish ball at all. They all released the aircraft carriers one by one. Then, in the next moment, an extremely dazzling interstellar battleship appeared out of thin air, instantly crushing everyone present. With the accompaniment of thousands of fireworks and special effects, it simply blinded countless dog eyes. Super Starship. This was the exclusive reward prop in Lu Chen's anchor room, the Superstar Ocean Battleship, which cost 10,000 yuan each. Not only did it have the effect of a platform-wide broadcast announcement, but it could also instantly clear the screen, have dazzling special effects, and so on. After this exclusive prop was launched by Whale TV, the number of Super Starship launched in Lu Chen's anchor room has exceeded 100, which is equivalent to 1 million yuan being rewarded. It must be noted that the Superstar Ocean Battleship is the highest level of special reward prop in Whale TV. Neither the platform nor Lu Chen will share even a penny of the benefits. It will all be donated to the Chen Fei Charity Fund for the treatment of poor leukemia patients. As soon as the Superstar Ocean Battleship appeared, the onlookers suddenly lost their calm. Tycoon, please support me. F***CK, a Star Ocean battleship has appeared before it even started. I'm going to break the record again tonight. Well, I'm going to support the loving Tycoon and hug his thigh. Brother How, do you still lack lackeys? Ha ha ha, amidst the noise, it was 8:30, and China's Voice began. Everyone's attention was attracted to it. In the midst of the passionate opening song, the carefully decorated Zhejiang satellite TV station Studio One was presented to the eyes of the national audience with a new look. Countless colored stripes fluttered down from the air, and the audience of 1,250 applauded warmly, bringing the atmosphere of the scene to a climax from the beginning. The camera swooped down from top to bottom, and then rotated forward. The four mentors sitting on the red swivel chairs became the focus. Then everyone was surprised to find that the four mentors actually had their backs to the stage and were facing the audience. Each mentor enjoyed a 3-second close-up, and then the camera focused on the big stage. A host in a blue casual suit, holding a microphone and a digital teleprompter, strode into the spotlight. He was in his 30s, thin and tall, with fair skin, wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses, looking gentle, and a confident smile on his face. The host faced the audience and said loudly, "First of all, let's welcome the four mentors who decide the students tonight. They are, Mentor Chen Fei, Mentor Liao Jia, Mentor Shifang, Mentor Lu Chen." When the host called on a mentor, the mentor stood up and waved to the audience, winning bursts of applause. Tonight, the four music mentors are looking for the real voice. They are ready, they are ready. China's Car, China's Voice, the world premiere, starts now. When he said the last few words, his voice suddenly rose a notch, and it could be said that his voice shook the audience. The audience at the scene responded with warm applause and cheers. The brand title of the first season of China's Voice was won by China Automobile with a price tag of 27 million yuan. At that time, there were many competing brands, but including Coca-Cola, they were all defeated by China Automobile, who were determined to win. When the news came out at that time, it caused a sensation in the industry because China's Voice was a brand new talent show, and in the current situation where talent shows were about to be overdone, China Automobile threw out so much money to support it, which was really surprising. It should be known that Zhejiang satellite TV station was not CCTV, and many of CCTV's variety shows did not have such a high title fee. But looking at the inside story through the surface, it was actually understandable. First of all, China Automobile, as the #1 brand of domestic cars, invests hundreds of millions of advertising fees every year, and 27 million was nothing to them. And China's Voice's creator, producer, major shareholder, and mentor, Lu Chen, was himself a star endorser of China Automobile, and the two sides had a good relationship of cooperation. In addition, the name of China's Voice was not bad, and it was not so incomprehensible that China Automobile would not hesitate to pay a high price to win it. Of course, whether this advertising title investment was worth the ticket price, the key still lay in the content of the program itself. China's Voice, with 4 big shot mentors, was able to make a name for itself in the extremely competitive TV variety show, and tonight's premiere was undoubtedly crucial. Chapter 620. My name is Anshin. I'm 23 years old this year. I come from Shueishu Village, Changshan County, Gue Province. At the beginning of the show, a video clip was played. What appeared on the screen was the first contestant in the first episode of the first season of China's Voice. Her name was Anshin, an ordinary-looking girl. I've liked music and singing since I was a child. After graduating from high school, I came to Beijing alone to study music and became a Beijing drifting singer. Later, I went to Shanghai to continue pursuing my music dream. After the first contestant's brief self-introduction, the camera switched back to the live stage. The host held up the microphone in high spirits and said, "China's good car, China's Voice. Welcome to China's good car, China's Voice, sponsored by the leading domestic automobile brand Zhonghua. Drink Pepsi Power mental health products and cheer for China's Voice." The 4 most proud students of this year's China's Voice will embark on the journey of China's automobile music dream. Send a text message to participate in the interaction and immediately get a 100 yuan coupon from QQ Shopping. Thank QQ Shopping for its strong support for this show. If our students are recognized by 3 or more mentors, they can get a 10,000 yuan music dream fund provided by QQ Shopping. At the same time, thank you to Hangzhou Shangri-La Hotel for providing hotel sponsorship to the mentors of China's Voice. He recited the lines of more than 200 words in one breath without stumbling, and his voice was high-pitched and his expression was impassioned, showing strong and unparalleled lung vitality. The crowd at the scene was shocked, the audience in front of the TV was shocked, and the fans in the live broadcast room were even more shocked. What the F***CK? Did you hear what he said just now? It's amazing. Where did this god come from? I, Wang Laowu, am convinced. If anyone can repeat it completely, I'll give him 10,000 fish balls. I'll also give 10,000. Great God, I admire you, please accept this little brother's worship. Worshipping, because it was not a live broadcast, the show was recorded a few days ago. So when it was broadcast by Zhejiang satellite TV in the evening, Lu Chen and Chen Fei watched it in the hotel room. At the same time, Lu Chen logged into his own anchor room with his laptop, but he used a sock puppet to dive in, and then watched the fans happy and noisy inside, feeling very good. He could not help but smile when he saw the praises and admiration directed at the host on the live screen. Chen Fei, who was sitting next to him, curiously poked his head over and saw the crazy number of bullet comments on the screen. He also smiled. This host, Tian, really made the right choice. The audience really likes her. The host of the first season of The Voice of China was called Kai Jie. He was not from Zhejiang TV station, but an anchor of a music program at Hangzhou Traffic Radio Station. Back then, when Lu Chen came up with the proposal for China's Voice, he had a special requirement for the host, which was to have a good lung capacity. They must be able to quickly recite long lines with great proficiency. That request actually stemmed from his memories in the dream world. It was the source of inspiration for The Voice of China, which was also one of the highlights of the show. As such, he purposely made use of it. For this request, Tian interviewed more than a dozen professional hosts and broadcasters and picked out Kai Jie. On the other hand, such a request was also based on considerations of profit, as The Voice of China had quite a number of advertising sponsors. That 200-word line included 4 major brands. Through the share of advertising revenue, Star Factory had basically earned back the initial investment. As for the realization of profits, it would still depend on the ratings of the show. Let us welcome our first contestant. The camera cut to the backstage. An ex-Ian, wearing a long-sleeved shirt and jeans, walked up the stairs, followed by the camera to the stage, and took the microphone from the host, Kai Jia. She pursed her lips, a hint of nervousness in her eyes. There was no reason for an ex-Ian not to be nervous. She was encouraged by her best friend to participate in the audition for The Voice of China, and was lucky enough to qualify for the official show. However, she never expected to be chosen as the first contestant. At that moment, her best friend was watching her from the backstage area, while the 4 judges were in front. An ex-Ian knew very well that this was a performance that would determine her fate. If she failed and was eliminated, she would really have to consider giving up, find a long-term job, and then find someone to marry. That was not the ending that an ex-Ian hoped for. She was very ordinary, so ordinary that no one would give her a second look if she walked in the crowd. However, who said that ordinary people could not have their own dreams? An ex-Ian had a dream. Her dream was big and beautiful. The nervousness and confusion in her eyes turned into determination. She turned her head and gave a thumbs up to the sound engineer backstage, indicating that she was ready. The sound engineer nodded and pressed the play button for the accompaniment. The next moment, the prelude sounded. The camera cut to the audience. Many of the audience members had a knowing smile on their faces, as they were very familiar with the prelude melody, Woman Flower, by Qin Fei. This song, written and composed by Lu Qin, could be said to be a classic in Qin Fei's career as a singer, a turning point. It allowed Qin Fei to successfully transform from a queen of sweet songs to a queen of love songs, establishing her unshakable position in the Chinese music industry. The album of the same name of Woman Flower had already sold more than 5 million copies, breaking the record of the Chinese pop music industry in the past 10 years. It had achieved very good results in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan, and even spread to several countries in Southeast Asia. Woman Flower was very popular, and it was a must-listen for women in KTV. That was why an ex-Ian had chosen Woman Flower as the song of the competition, which undoubtedly required a lot of courage and confidence. It was expected that she could sing well, but it was not easy for her to win the approval of the 4 judges. I have a flower, planted in my heart, waiting to bloom, faintly, Zhao Zhao and Mumu, I eagerly wait for those who are willing to come to my dream. Woman Flower, swaying in the world of mortals, Woman Flower, swaying gently with the wind. When an ex-Ian's voice sounded, the camera turned from her to the 4 judges, who were standing with their backs to the stage. At this moment, even if there was no explanation in the program, the audience could understand that the judges could only listen to the sound, but not see the people. They made the decision based on the singing. This was very different from the previous talent shows of the same type, which made the audience feel very fresh and curious, wondering what would happen next. Or what was waiting for an ex-Ian. Chapter 621. When Anxin sang the first line of the lyrics, Lu Chen's expression changed. And this contestant's performance of Woman Flower also made him reveal a hint of surprise. Yes, it was a surprise. Anxin's singing skills were not particularly good, but her voice was quite unique, with a slightly hoarse magnetic lingering. She sang Woman Flower in a mellow and moving way, with a very different charm from the original singer, but it did not damage the charm of the work. It was also a rare enjoyment for the ears of the listeners. The most important thing was that Anxin blended her own emotions into the singing. The same song, sung by the same person, had exactly the same tone and melody, but it was easy for the audience to hear whether or not there was any emotion injected into it. As the saying goes, words are the voice of the heart, and songs are to sing. If singing without emotion, no matter how skilled and unique the voice is, it will give people a cold feeling. Many singers don't understand the mystery, or they don't care about it, and as a result, they can never improve themselves. Anshin didn't have any fame, but her songs had won the hearts of the four mentors. Liao Jia turned his head and said to Chen Feier with a smile, "I think she sings better than you." Chen Feier did not answer. She suddenly stretched out her right hand and pressed the red button in front of the swivel chair heavily. Bang! With a shocking special effect sound, the swivel chair Chen Feier was sitting on rotated quickly. At the same time, 4 bright LED light belts lit up from under her mentor's chair to the stage. The audience suddenly burst into thunderous applause, and several of the audience even stood up with excitement. Lu Chen and Shifang looked at each other and smiled. Shifang raised her hand and hesitated to take a picture immediately. The camera was firmly aimed at her. "I have a flower, the fragrance of the flowers is all over the branches, who will sincerely look for the traces of the fragrance? The flower doesn't bloom for long, if it can be plucked, women are like flowers in a dream." When Anshin finished singing these 2 paragraphs, Shifang no longer hesitated and pressed the button hard. And almost at the same time, Lu Chen also pressed the button. The 3 mentors turned around. In the number 1 studio of Zhejiang satellite TV station, the audience of 1,250 applauded and cheered for Anshin's wonderful singing. At the same time, he applauded the instructors for turning around. At this time, those who were watching the show on their televisions, computers, or on their phones or tablets should have understood the first rule of the blind selection for the coaches of China's voice. That was to move people with songs and win with sound. Anshin's looks were average. She wasn't tall, nor was she slender. She didn't have the looks or the figure. Someone like her wouldn't be able to make it into the entertainment industry unless they had a strong background or power. She was just an ordinary person. But here, on the stage of China's Voice, none of that mattered. That was because the 4 coaches could not even see the contestants from the start. Even if the contestants were beautiful or shockingly handsome, it did not mean anything to them. Here, it was all about strength. Whoever was stronger would be able to make the big shot teacher turn around. Therefore, for the majority of the viewers who were just ordinary people, the rules of the Voice of China made them feel the sincerity of the program. No matter how ordinary they were, they still had the chance to realize their dreams. Just like that, Anshin won the approval of the 3 mentors. No, there were 4 of them. Liao Jia also pressed the red button that represented her choice. The 4 mentors all turned around for her. At that moment, Anshin, who was standing on the stage, was undoubtedly the focus of the entire world. The corner of her eyes sparkled. She relied on her strong willpower to not let herself cry out on the spot and finished singing the last line of the song. "Women are like flowers, flowers are like dreams," her voice lingered in the air. Anshin put down the microphone. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she had a look of disbelief. She had already memorized the rules of China's Voice. She knew that if Lu Chen and the other 3 mentors all turned around, it would not only mean that she could choose any big shot as a mentor, it would also mean that she had received the highest level of approval. This was something she had never dreamed of before joining the show. Now that her dream had come true, it was even better. Chen Feier stood up. With a smile on her face, she clapped her hands hard. Under her lead, the live audience stood up and applauded in unison. Such a scene could really give anyone goosebumps, their blood rushing from their chests to their faces. Thank you, thank you." Anshin was sobbing uncontrollably. Her legs were trembling slightly. When she sang in bars in the past, she had received praises and encouragement from the customers. However, that was nothing compared to this scene. She was at a loss. Chen Feier sat back down. Lu Chen raised his hand to signal for everyone to quiet down. He then asked gently, "Hello, can you introduce yourself?" Anshin hurriedly wiped away her tears, raised the microphone and answered, "My name is Anshin." After a simple self-introduction, the 4 mentors began to evaluate, or rather, compete with each other. Chen Feier was the first to say, "You sang very well. This uncle here is a better rapper than me. I agree with him very much." She pointed to Liao Jia, who was sitting next to her. Liao Jia was embarrassed. Uncle? Am I that old? Many in the audience could not help but applaud Chen Fei's magnanimity. Anxin could not help but burst into laughter. Chen Fei asked, "Why did you choose this song?" Anxin answered, "Because I like this song very much. I'm also a loyal fan of yours." Chen Fei smiled. "If that's the case, then you can join my team. I like your voice, and I hope your voice can stay on this stage forever." Before Anxin could answer, Liao Jia interrupted, "Then let me say something. In my opinion, when choosing a mentor, you should choose an experienced senior." "Look, I am a senior." The audience burst into laughter again. No one had expected Liao Jia to have such a humorous side. The audience in front of the TV was amused. They felt this show was much more interesting than they had imagined. It turned out that the mentors would compete with each other for the students. This was completely different from the previous shows. The former judges were in charge of judging and scoring. This made many people think of Anxin. If they were the ones standing on the stage, how would they choose? Chen Fei, Liao Jia, Shi Fang, and Lu Chen, all of whom were big shots, were chosen by all four of them, but it was really too difficult and tangled to choose one. Choosing one meant giving up the other three. Who knew if they had made the right choice? Who knew if they could make it to the end? It was too difficult to choose. Chapter 622. In Lu Chen's studio, Whale TV. Although The Voice of China had only been on air for about 10 minutes, more than 3 million viewers had already flooded into the studio, setting a new record for the number of viewers in the same studio. Fortunately, Whale TV had updated its server a long time ago and increased its bandwidth. So, despite the countless bullet screen comments, the stability of the platform system was not affected. Everyone was in a heated discussion. "She sang really well. She's a good singer. All four mentors have turned around. Of course she sang well. She's no worse than Chen Fei. I like songs very much, but she's not pretty. This program doesn't care about looks. Otherwise, the chairs would have been turned for nothing. I think it's fair. This is so interesting. I wonder which mentor Anxin will choose. I think it should be Chen Fei. She said she's a fan of Chen Fei. Not necessarily." Finally, it was Lu Chen's turn. Lu Chen asked straightforwardly, "Anxin, do you know who wrote the song you just sang?" Was there a need to ask that question? Anxin was also stunned. Then she replied, "Yes, it was written by you, Mr. Lu Chen." Lu Chen smiled and said, "That's right. Do you want me to write a song for you too?" This time, Anxin was really stunned. Because she had no idea whether Lu Chen was serious or just joking for the effect of the program. Originally, Anxin had decided to choose Chen Fei as her mentor because she was a fan of Chen Fei. Moreover, she was a woman and it was easy to get along with her. Their singing styles were also similar. Liao Jia was not in her consideration at all. But now, the offer offered by Lu Chen was too tempting. In the entire Chinese music industry, everyone knew that Lu Chen was the most talented singer. Some even thought that he was the most outstanding singer in the past decade. His works were rich and of high quality. Not only did he compose songs for himself, but he also wrote songs for others. Every song he wrote was a hit, so even though the asking price was as high as $1 million, there were still countless people scrambling for it. But now that Lu Chen had personally made a move, it was really not bad. He did not lack money at all. Although Anxin was a singer at the bottom of the industry, she had a good understanding of Lu Chen, who was also from the bottom of the industry. Therefore, she understood how important this promise was. But is this true? Anxin couldn't believe that such a great opportunity would fall into her lap, so she was stunned. After all, it was just a talent show. Lu Chen didn't sound very serious when he said it. Maybe he was just joking. At this moment, an Xian's heart was in a dilemma that could not be described with words. Some of the audience applauded, some laughed, and some cheered. Chen Fei turned around and said coquettishly, "You're cheating." Liao Jia agreed. No, we have to make a new rule. That is, Lu Chen cannot use his works to tempt students. Otherwise, he will be stripped of his qualifications as a teacher. Everyone laughed. They knew that Liao Jia was joking, but it was really interesting. Shi Fang grinned. "I support Fei, and brother Liao." Lu Chen spread out his hands helplessly. "How is this cheating? This is fair competition. You should know that we had the right to choose just now, and now Anshin has the right to choose." In Lu Chen's studio on Whale TV, the audience was very happy. They were waiting for a good show. Ha ha ha, I suddenly find that Chen is so bad. Oh my god, Lu Chen wrote the song in person. Who can resist such a condition? Cheating. This is blatant cheating. If it were me, I would definitely choose Lu Chen. There's nothing to say. This is going to be a good show. I like it. The next moment, the camera pointed at Anshin again. The close-up of her hesitant expression was clearly displayed to all the audience. The host, Kai Jia, took a step forward, bowed his head and asked Anshin, "So, what is your choice?" It was time to make a choice, and she could no longer hesitate. Anshin gritted her teeth and seemed to have made an extremely difficult decision in her heart, and then said, "I choose." The advertisement was inserted. What the f***ck? At this moment, countless viewers all over the country cursed at the same time. Isn't this advertisement inserted a bit too strong? Whale TV's studio was in an uproar. What the f***ck is this Zhidong satellite TV? Can't I watch the show happily? I curse this company to close down tomorrow. Close down +1. You cut it off at the critical moment, it's really worrying. Change the channel, I'm not watching it anymore. First of all, the object of everyone's scolding was Zhidong satellite TV, which was greedy for money and shameless, followed by the advertiser who inserted the broadcast. Meanwhile, the real culprit was beaming from ear to ear in the broadcasting room of the TV station. Tonight, Tian was squatting in the Zhidong satellite TV building, paying attention to the ratings of The Voice of China in real time. She herself came from the TV station, and her family had connections, so entering and exiting the TV station was almost the same as her own home, which was very convenient. The premiere of The Voice of China in the evening was too important for Tian. For this show, she had put in countless effort, and also built up a lot of relationships. Although the creative copywriting of the show came from Lu Chen, and several mentors were also settled by Lu Chen, the organization, recording, post-production, and broadcasting of the show could not be operated without her. It would be fine if she succeeded, but if she failed, she would probably not be able to get up for a long time, and the Star Factory, which had been established for more than half a year, could also collapse. Therefore, in the first minute of the broadcast of The Voice of China, Tian stared at the real-time ratings data transmitted over. This was a privilege within the TV station. If ordinary people wanted to know the ratings of a program or TV series, they usually had to wait until the next day to find it on the public information on the internet. The Voice of China had a very good start, with the ratings reaching 1.7% at 8:30. The competition in the TV market was extremely fierce, with all kinds of variety shows emerging one after another. The audience had long been tired of all kinds of talent shows. It was really difficult for a new reality TV show to win high ratings. Breaking 1% at the beginning of the broadcast was already rare and a start worthy of celebration. However, Tian was indifferent to this data. The Voice of China had been preparing for such a long time, invested a lot in advertising and publicity, and the TV station was very supportive. Coupled with the popularity of the four mentors, without such data, it would be a failure, so it was not considered a success. But 10 minutes later, when the first commercial break appeared, her expression finally changed. Chapter 623. At present, the ratings of domestic TV programs were independently completed by New Vision Company, a subsidiary of the State Administration of Radio, film and television, and belonged to a state-owned third-party authority. If ordinary media or audiences wanted to know the ratings of a TV series or variety show broadcast on the same day, they could log on to the official website of New Vision Company the next day to see it. New Vision Company's official website also had a very detailed ranking, and it was clear at a glance which was higher and lower. However, TV stations were not like this. All state-owned TV stations in China could obtain real-time ratings data from New Vision Company through specialized channels. Because New Vision Company relied on the powerful resources of the SARFT to collect data from digital TV terminal users and formal online live broadcasting platforms in real time for summary. Although there was an inevitable delay, its authority was unquestionable. Zhejiang satellite TV station certainly had a channel to connect to New Vision Company. The reason why Tian wanted to stay in the TV station was to be able to get this important data as soon as possible. China's Voice's opening was 1.7%. After 12 minutes of broadcasting, the ratings suddenly jumped to 1.78%, a surge of 0.71%. If the high opening of more than 1% was still within Tian's expectations, such a fierce increase made her heart almost jump out of her chest, and her face turned red. As a person in the industry, Tian knew very well what this meant. This was a precursor to the show's popularity. Today's TV audience was no longer comparable to the past in terms of number. In the past, when there was no internet, the most important way for people to pass time was to watch TV. Therefore, many excellent TV series or programs could often achieve extremely high ratings, often in the hundreds, and constantly emerging ratings myths. Now, with the advent of the technological era, entertainment methods have diversified and multipolar. Young people are more enthusiastic about online entertainment. There are fewer and fewer people who are willing to sit in front of the TV to watch TV, and the requirements are getting higher and higher. The competition of hundreds of TV stations has already turned the TV market into a Red Sea. Correspondingly, whether it was TV series or variety shows, the ratings could no longer create the previous data. Many variety shows could be regarded as branded programs with an average rating of 0.5%. The remote control was in the hands of the audience, and the audience was very impatient now. If a new program did not attract them at the beginning, they only needed to gently press the remote control in their hands, and then there would be hundreds of other choices. The opening was the most critical, just like a new novel. If the opening was not attractive, the readers would not buy it. Hence, when the viewership ratings of China's Voice drew a beautiful positive line across the screen, how could Tian not be excited? Of course, she knew that it would be too early to celebrate their victory. At the very least, they would have to wait until the end of the show and the dust had settled before they could truly see the results. Therefore, she forced herself not to lose her composure on the spot. However, her former colleagues in the broadcasting room did not have so many scruples and congratulated Tian one after another. Director Tian, congratulations. It's definitely going to be an explosive result. I reckon that the first episode of tonight's episode will break 2%. Breaking 2 won't be a problem for sure. Even breaking 3 is possible. Tian Jia, you must treat us. Everyone was also sincerely happy for Tian. Although the latter had long since left Zhejiang satellite TV, she had always had a good relationship with people in the station. A few days ago, she hosted a banquet at the Shangri-La Hotel to entertain a group of colleagues. In addition, China's Voice's popularity was also of great benefit to Zhejiang satellite TV station and everyone. The TV station's annual advertising performance was related to everyone's year-end bonus. Although China's Voice had just started and it was indeed too early to congratulate them, it was definitely right to ask for a good compliment first. That's right, Tian is going to treat us. At this moment, the door of the broadcasting room was pushed open, and a middle-aged man strode in with his head held high. Director Gao. Seeing the person, everyone got up one after another, even Tian was no exception. This middle-aged man was Gao Guangji, the director of Zhejiang satellite TV station. He was a well-known young and vigorous figure in the SARFT system. He had been transferred to Zhejiang Satellite TV station as the director for less than 2 years, but he had carried out a drastic reform of the TV station, and his prestige in the station was quite high. It was under Gao Guangxi's leadership that Zhejiang Satellite TV station attacked everywhere in terms of self-produced dramas and variety shows, gradually increasing the influence of Zhejiang Satellite TV in the industry and greatly increasing its advertising income. The cooperation between Zhejiang Satellite TV station and Star Factory Media was also facilitated by Gao Guangxi. Therefore, even Tian, who was as reserved and delicate as a princess, was very well behaved in front of Gao Guangxi, and she was indeed the latter's junior. Gao Guangxi raised his hand with a smile and said, "Everyone sit down and continue working. Don't worry about me." Although that was what they said, how many of them could really sit still? Tian asked curiously, "Director, why are you here?" Gao Guangxi smiled and said, "Why can't I come? I'm here to see the ratings of this show." Tian said proudly, "I didn't let you down, did I?" Gao Guangxi said, "Don't be happy too early. The start is good, but the key is whether you can hold on." Tian nodded obediently, looking like an honest child. While the two were talking, the data on the screen was still increasing slightly. This was very rare. It should be known that it was a commercial break. Usually, there would be a temporary decline in the ratings during the commercial break, because there would always be impatient TV viewers who would change the channel at this time. Such a scene made Gao Guangxi a little surprised. At the beginning, he strongly advocated cooperation with Star Factory Media and introduced The Voice of China by purchasing the broadcasting and publishing rights, and rejected the self-produced reality talent show plan proposed by others. On the one hand, it was to deepen the reform process of the TV station, and on the other hand, it was because he was optimistic about this cooperation. In addition, there was also the relationship of Tian's family. However, Gao Guangxi did not expect that the ratings of The Voice of China would be so outstanding. It was completely a dark horse, which made him feel that he had made a mistake in the previous cooperation negotiations. It should be known that the contract between the two parties was based on the ratings. The higher the ratings, the more benefits Zhejiang Satellite TV station had to give up. But this idea only flashed in his mind and disappeared in an instant. The higher the ratings of The Voice of China, the greater the advertising income of Zhejiang Satellite TV, and the influence brought by it could not be measured by direct benefits. This was a win-win cooperation. Just as Gao Guangxi was thinking about it, the advertisement on the big screen ended, and the picture returned to the show. Chapter 624. I choose. The scene in front of the advertisement was replayed again, and Anxin's eyes were fixed on Chen Fei. Mentor Chen Fei. Ah. The audience was in an uproar, because no one expected that Anxin would still insist on choosing Chen Fei, when Lu Chen showed his killer move, giving up such an opportunity that most singers dream of. Chen Fei, was also surprised, and then immediately showed a happy smile. She stood up and walked to the stage, giving Anxin a big hug and said, "Welcome to my team." Liao Jia laughed and pointed at Lu Chen, taking pleasure in his misfortune. "You deserve this day, kid." Shifang covered her mouth and laughed, probably feeling that it was very interesting. Lu Chen spread out his hands and made a helpless expression of a loser, but to say that he was angry or lost, there was nothing. On the contrary, he quite appreciated this contestant. Lu Chen was very clear about the power of his proposal. In the face of the temptation he offered, Anxin was able to keep her heart, which showed that her willpower was very strong, and she had her own beliefs and determination. This kind of person would usually be able to go further. Anxin's problem was that her own physical conditions were not good, and it was not easy to win the recognition of fans. But for singers, if the idol route was not possible, it was also possible to go the strength route. Of course, this did not mean that Lu Chen decided to cultivate Anxin well, because the first season of The Voice of China had just begun, and there might be more outstanding talents later. In the Lu Chen's broadcasting room of Whale TV, the online fans were overjoyed and sent barrage comments to complain. "This girl has character. This is very embarrassing. I didn't expect that she would choose Chen Fei. I don't cry in the morning, stand up and masturbate. This girl is really 6, give her a fishball tip. I feel that she is also better with Chen Fei. It's a pity that a piece of work was wasted. It's so interesting. On the other side, in the director's room of Zhejiang satellite TV, the atmosphere was equally warm. After Anshin made her choice, the ratings rose again and were about to reach the 2% mark. And this was just the beginning of the show. From 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., a total of 2 hours, including commercials. The first episode of the first season of The Voice of China premiered on Zhejiang satellite TV on May 19. In the first episode, a total of 5 contestants were recognized by the mentors and became official students. In the first episode, a total of 5 contestants were recognized by the mentors and became official students. That night, the average viewership rating was 26%, with the highest viewership rating exceeding 50%. On the second day on New Channel's official website, China's Voice took the top spot in the variety show ratings, beating the second place by a whole percentage point. Most importantly, in blogs, forums, The Voice of China was full. In a world where the audience was already tired of watching reality TV shows, China's Voice's unique rules brought a sense of freshness to the audience, which was undoubtedly one of the reasons for its success. The blind selection of mentors made people feel that it was fair. Contestants relied on their abilities and nothing else to succeed. Even the most ordinary person, as long as he or she had talent in singing, would have the opportunity to become an official student and stand on the stage to choose a famous mentor. This was something that didn't exist in previous talent shows. In previous talent shows, it was the judges who chose the contestants. There had never been a situation where the contestants chose their mentors. Both sides stood on equal footing and respected each other. Everyone's feelings were naturally very different. A logo with a microphone raised high, 4 bright red swivel chairs, and an equally bright red button. Together with the 4 famous coaches, they formed the unique and distinct logo of China's top voice, imprinted in every viewer's memory. As the show became popular, the contestants who performed well in the first episode also gained fame, especially in Xian. Her song, Woman Flower, amazed the audience and made all 4 teachers turn around. She was very popular. Anshin's personal post bar was quickly established, and her blog fans soared from the original 100 plus to 100,000 plus. Even on QQ Music, her cover of Woman Flower appeared on the download list. QQ Music has obtained the authorization of China's Voice, and all the student songs can be found on it. As a result, Anshin's life changed dramatically. Many agents came to her, and some companies even wanted to sign a contract with her. She had just become a student. At the same time, the host of China's top voice, Kai Jia, also became popular. Kai Jia was originally an anchor at a radio station in Hangzhou and only had a little fame in the local area. However, his appearance in China's top voice left a deep impression on the audience all over the country. Especially when he read out the opening advertising slogan of more than 200 words in one breath. It was made into a GIF and widely circulated on the internet, making many netizens exclaim that he was a god. Of course, the biggest beneficiary was still Zhejiang satellite TV station. With an average rating of 26%, it became the biggest winner of all the talent shows this year, overshadowing Shonen TV, which claimed to be the strongest variety show. On May 26, China's Top Voice continued to broadcast its second episode. The ratings continued to rise, and the highest rating broke through the 3% mark without any suspense, with an average of 89%. It was no longer a dark horse, but a champion. After 2 episodes, the success of China's Top Voice was indisputable. Star Factory became a well-known media company in the circle in one fell swoop, and the people seeking cooperation broke through the threshold. On Wave's blog, the fans of China's Top Voice easily broke through 5 million. It also had a wonderful performance on QQ Video and QQ Music, and became popular in all aspects. On June 2nd, the third episode of China's Top Voice was broadcasted, with an average rating of more than 3%, reaching the standard of a phenomenal variety show, and its momentum was unparalleled. As the creative provider and production participant of this live-action singing talent show, Lu Chen was busy recording China's Top Voice, and at the same time, he made the final changes to the script of You from the Star. He had revised the script of this TV series many times, which took more than half a year. Compared to the original work in the dream world, there were great changes, and the characters and plot were much fuller. So now, it had finally reached the state of completion and could be officially filmed at any time. Similarly, in Beijing, Chunfei Media and the partners of You from the Star were also ready. Everything was ready, and they were just waiting for the return of the two male and female leads, Lu Chen and Chunfei. Chapter 625. With the ratings of China's Good Voice soaring, the recording work was naturally in full swing, so Lu Chen and Chunfei could not return to Beijing for the time being to devote themselves to the shooting of You from the Star. However, there was one thing that made Lu Chen have to take time to deal with it. That was, QQ Company took a fancy to Happy Network and intended to invest in the acquisition. QQ was one of the few internet giants in China. This company, established in 1997, was one of the world's largest integrated internet service providers and one of the internet companies with the largest number of users. In 2005, QQ was listed in Hong Kong and became one of the constituent stocks of Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index. Its current market value exceeded $180 billion. Its business involves social and communication services QQ and Feixin, social network platform QQ Space, QQ Games QQ Game Platform, Portal QQ Network, QQ News Client and online video services QQ Video, Music and so on. In 20 years, QQ has built itself into a real giant enterprise. The wide range of business involved can be said to have deeply affected the modern Chinese language area. Strictly speaking, it was not that QQ Company took a fancy to Happy Network, but QQ Games, a subsidiary of QQ, took a fancy to the currently popular Happy Farm. For such a situation, Lu Chen had expected it. The number of registered members of Happy Farm has already exceeded 100 million, which has formed a huge user market, which contains great benefits. For the industry, Happy Farm was also a miracle. It was just a small web/mobile game. No matter how beautifully it was made, it did not require too much investment to complete. It was so small that any computer and mobile phone could play it very smoothly. However, the popularity that Happy Farm gathered in a short period of time was terrifying. It has become a craze for all people to steal vegetables. Usually, in the streets, in buses, on subways, in cafes, men and women, old and young, whether it was white-collar workers or teachers and students, they could all be seen playing with their mobile phones. Happy Farm could be said to be extremely popular, and its development and operation company was a small company that had just been established for less than half a year. It was unknown in the industry. How could it not attract the covetous eyes of others? However, Happy Network's copyright protection was extremely perfect. Not to mention in China, they had even registered copyrights overseas. In addition, in order to prevent others from imitating, they had also registered the copyrights of games with similar styles and the same content, such as Happy Fishing Ground, Happy Ranch, and so on. Most importantly, although the CEO of Happy Network was a university student who had just graduated and had no power or influence, its largest shareholder was not an ordinary person. Some outside tricks would not work so well. Therefore, after a period of observation, QQ Company took the lead in jumping out and directly issued a tentative acquisition intention to Happy Entertainment. For such a big event, how could Gao He dare to make his own decision, so he contacted Lu Chen for the first time. Fortunately, Lu Chen has been recording China's Voice in Hangzhou these days. It took less than half an hour to go from the Shangri-La Hotel to the new Binjiang IT Industrial Park where Happy Entertainment was located. When going to Happy Entertainment, Lu Chen also brought Chunfei. Although Chunfei did not have any investment shares in Happy Entertainment, with the current relationship between the two, There was no difference whether he had shares or not. When Lu Chen arrived, Gao He and Wang Xiaoling were already waiting for him at the entrance of the company. The two thought that they would only see Lu Chen himself. They didn't expect that Lu Chen would be accompanied by a beautiful woman. Although Chen Fei was wearing big sunglasses, they still recognized her at a glance. China's Voice was broadcast on Zhejiang satellite TV station and dominated the ratings list. At present, it has made several students and a host popular. At the same time, it also brought the popularity of the four mentors to a new level in China. Especially Liao Jia and Shifang, the two have been quite quiet in recent years and have not produced any new works. Their influence among young people has actually been declining. As soon as China's Voice was released, Liao Jia and Shifang definitely benefited a lot. The most direct manifestation was that many big brands took the initiative to seek advertising endorsement cooperation. As for Lu Chen and Chen Fei, there was no need to mention. The two were already very popular, and now they were like flowers in brocade, cooking oil on fire. Their popularity simply overshadowed the entertainment industry. Wang Xiaoling was originally a fan of Chen Fei. The last time Lu Chen came to Happy Entertainment, she complained that Lu Chen did not bring his girlfriend. This time, her wish was finally fulfilled. Speaking of which, Lu Chen has been in Hangzhou for some time, but because he was very busy with his own work, and Gao he was also very busy. The two only talked on the phone a few times and met in the same city until today. Lu Chen first introduced Chen Fei to Gao He and Wang Xiaoling. Chen Fei was very generous and directly called them big brother and sister-in-law, which made both of them very flattered. When they arrived at the company, it was another scene. Happy Entertainment's development momentum was too rapid. Recently, they have recruited a lot of professionals and purchased a lot of new equipment. The number of employees was close to 100. Although the office next door was rented, it still seemed very crowded. It was the first time for many of the new employees to see Lu Chen. In addition, with Chen Fei accompanying them, they surrounded the two like stars surrounding the moon to watch the fun. Everyone was extremely excited and all smiles were on their faces. Lu Chen did not put on any airs of a chairman. He encouraged the employees in the office area and took a lot of group photos. Big morale was boosted. After the excitement, everyone sat down to get down to business. Wang Xiaoling first took out a financial statement and gave it to Lu Chen. She smiled and said, "Please review it first, Chairman." Since the establishment of Happy Entertainment, the company's monthly financial expenditure has been sent to Lu Chen. However, Lu Chen never pointed fingers in this regard. He trusted the boss's character and delegated power without reservation. Therefore, Lu Chen put the thick report aside and smiled, "Just tell me how much money we made." It sounded like a joke, but it just showed Lu Chen's trust. Wang Xiaoling and Gao He looked at each other. The latter coughed and said, "This month, Happy Entertainment's revenue will definitely exceed 100 million. Although he tried to make his expression look calm and serious, he could not hide the joy and pride in his eyes. It was absolutely a myth for a small game that had been on the market for less than 2 months to have a revenue of more than 100 million. Moreover, Happy Entertainment's recharge income accounted for the majority of the total revenue. The profit distributed to the channel was not much. More than 100 million in revenue was very extraordinary. Chapter 626. In fact, last month, that is, in May, the prop sales revenue of Happy Farm has exceeded 50 million. The net profit was not only enough to offset all the early investment of Happy Entertainment, but also achieved a large profit. This simple little game had a kind of magic that made people addicted to it. The user base was extremely high, and the user base was very wide. There were old men and women in their 70s and 80s, as well as children who were only a few years old playing. Although the props in the prop store in Happy Farm are very cheap, most of them are 1 or 2 yuan or even a few cents, and from time to time there will be a big gift for topping up, but there are too many users, and the benefits generated are very amazing. In the eyes of big crocodiles, it's normal. A few days ago, an investment manager of QQ Games, flew over from the deep sea. Gao He said, he made an offer to us. Lu Chen asked, what conditions did they offer? Gao He replied, there are two plans for QQ Games. One is to acquire 90% of Happy Entertainment's shares for 200 million, and the other is to acquire Happy Farm for 180 million. Boss Gao's voice was a little erratic. When he and Wang Xiaoling gritted their teeth and mobilized their family to take out their savings to invest in the establishment of Happy Entertainment, they never thought that there would be such a day. It was really like a dream. The initial investment of Happy Entertainment was 5 million, and later, Lu Chen increased the investment, but it did not exceed 10 million. Even if the publicity investment of Happy Farm was added, it would not exceed 15 million at most. But now, Lu Chen's shares alone are worth 200 million, and selling them will be more than 10 times the investment. The speed of making money is faster than robbing a bank. His and Wang Xiaoling's shares are worth 20 million. How long has it been? It hasn't even been a year. QQ knows that Happy Entertainment has a major shareholder, Lu Chen, and can afford to burn money. It is unlikely that they need external investment to dilute their shares, so they simply proposed a large acquisition and wanted to directly knock out Lu Chen. Gao He really felt a little dizzy. Seeing Gao He's confused look, Wang Xiaoling pinched him and said, look at you, now our monthly income is more than 100 million yuan. You want to buy Happy Farm with 170 million yuan? Dream on. Happy Entertainment definitely wouldn't be sold. When Lu Chen first started the company, he said that he wanted to make Happy Entertainment a top-tier company in China to serve his big IP plan. But Happy Farm could be sold. For this project, Lu Chen's original plan was to make a quick buck and invest the money he earned back into the company. What he really wanted to do was to make online games, large-scale games. But now that Happy Farm's income was so high, Wang Xiaoling really couldn't bear to sell it. This was like a hen that laid golden eggs. Chapter 627. Buying a house in Hangzhou? Lu Chen was stunned, and immediately asked with a smile, Boss, do you want to buy a house? Gao He, whose thoughts were revealed, scratched his head shyly and said, how do you know? I really want to buy a house. If you buy one too, then we can buy one in the same community. Wang Xiaoling poked her husband hard and said, you just started your career, and you want to show off? Although that was what she said, she was still very sweet in her heart. Gao He has long wanted to buy a house in Hangzhou. Because it is related to the future of him and Wang Xiaoling, although they are married, they don't even have a house. How can they take root in this city, and how can they satisfy the parents of the latter? So since the establishment of Happy Entertainment, Gao He has worked very hard, often working overtime for several weeks in a row, and with a group of like-minded brothers, he has made the most popular interactive game on the market. Although the creativity and most of the funds for Happy Farm came from Lu Chen, without Gao He's sweat, it would not be so successful today. And the source of motivation for him to work hard, buying a house in Hangzhou, is undoubtedly one of the most important factors. Lu Chen turned to look at Chen Fei and said, it's good to buy a suite in Hangzhou. What do you think? Chen Fei smiled and said, of course. When it comes to investing in real estate, Chen Fei is definitely an expert in the entertainment industry. Most of her current wealth is earned by speculating in real estate. To be honest, it is much easier than running advertisements, doing endorsements, and releasing albums. However, Chen Fei's investments are mainly concentrated in Beijing. There are no industries in the south. Otherwise, she wouldn't need to live in Tian's house or a hotel in Hangzhou. Tian would be very happy, but now that she is with Lu Chen, it is inconvenient to live in her house. Therefore, it is very suitable to buy a house in Hangzhou, and Hangzhou is only 2 hours away from Lu Chen's hometown. Lu Chen thought about it and said, let's go today and buy it directly. Have you seen a good house? He asked Gao He. Gao He didn't expect Lu Chen to be so happy. He was going to see the house now, and he couldn't help but scratch his head. Gao He just had the idea of buying a house, but he was so busy with his work that he didn't have time to go to see the house, so he didn't know what good real estate was in Hangzhou recently. On the contrary, it was Wang Xiaoling who answered, recently, the best real estate is Shizi Grand Garden. It's located at Longxiang Bridge. It was originally a top-notch mansion that was demolished from the old dormitory area of the local tax bureau. The average price is about 70,000 yuan. The small high-rise building area is at least 170 square meters. I heard that the green area is very large, and there are many century-old trees inside. Her eyes were shining as she spoke with confidence and composure. Inadvertently, she found that everyone was staring at her. Wang Xiaoling, who had always been shrewd, couldn't help but blush. "Why are you all looking at me?" Chen Fei chuckled. Wang Xiaoling also scolded Gao He and said that he was arrogant. In fact, she already had such a thought in her heart. Otherwise, how could she be so familiar with the real estate in Hangzhou? The average price is 70,000? Gao He couldn't help but be speechless. That's at least more than 10 million yuan. How can we afford it? Wang Xiaoling couldn't help but give him a white look. Do you want Lu Chen to buy a house worth 10,000 or 20,000 yuan? In recent years, the price of houses in Hangzhou has also risen very sharply, and it has increased several times. The houses in the downtown area are generally about 40,000 yuan, and the good location is even more expensive. Shizi Grand Garden is a rare real estate near West Lake. It is normal for it to have a price of more than 10 million yuan. Only such a house is in line with the identity of Lu Chen and Chen Fei. But for Gao He, it's too expensive. Lu Chen smiled and patted him on the shoulder and said, "It's just more than 10 million yuan. Are you afraid that you can't afford it now? You have to buy a better and bigger house, with appreciation potential and a good school district. You and Xiaoling won't only have one child in the future, right? How can you not have enough rooms?" Before Lu Chen proposed to found Happy Entertainment, not to mention a house worth more than 10 million yuan, even a house worth more than 1 million yuan would require his family and Xiaoling's family to come up with all their savings for the down payment, and then carry a heavy loan to work hard in this city, and pay for decades of hard work to repay. Now Happy Entertainment has a monthly income of more than 100 million yuan. Even if he and Xiaoling only have 10% of the shares, they can get millions of yuan, not to mention that they will soon sell Happy Farm. Gao He just hasn't figured it out for a while. Wang Xiaoling blushed at Lu Chen's question. She didn't want to show weakness and retorted, "How many children are you and Fei going to have?" Lu Chen smiled, "I'll have as many as I can. A basketball team is not too few, and a football team is not too many." Chen Fei's face was redder than Wang Xiaoling's, and he couldn't help but pinch Lu Chen. "Do you think I'm a pig?" She hasn't thought about having children for the time being, but she will definitely have a few in the future, but this topic is a bit shameful. Everyone laughed, and the office was filled with a cheerful and joyful atmosphere. Lu Chen asked Wang Xiaoling, "What is the current housing price in Binjiang, office buildings and commercial houses?" Wang Xiaoling thought about it and said, "In terms of commercial houses, the better ones are more than 20,000 yuan, and the farther ones are about 15,000 to 20,000 yuan. The office buildings are basically the same, and there are a lot of newly developed real estate." Lu Chen nodded and said, "Our company's current site is too small. I want to wait for Happy Farm to be sold, and simply buy an office building here. Of course, it's best to be in the park, and buy another 20 commercial houses, and sign a long-term contract as a reward for the core employees who have contributed. They will live for free first, and then transfer ownership after they meet the working years or contribution value." What a big deal. Gao He and Wang Xiaoling couldn't help but look at each other. The long-term contract reward property proposed by Lu Chen isn't something new. Many companies often use options or property rewards in order to retain important core employees. In today's housing market, a new house can definitely allow an elite employee to serve the company wholeheartedly without worries, and at the same time, it is also a spur and incentive for other employees. Lu Chen set up Happy Entertainment not for fun or to make a few dollars, but to make Happy Entertainment an important part of his big IP plan, and the investment will only get bigger and bigger. Compared to his ambitious plan, the funds needed to buy dozens of houses and an office building are nothing at all, and the possible effect is excellent. Happy Entertainment doesn't lack money, what it lacks is talents who can take the company to the peak, a lot of talents. He believes that both Gao He and Wang Xiaoling should understand his intentions very well. Chapter 628. Gao He had no objection at all. When he first formed Happy Entertainment, he personally recruited a group of team partners to do the Happy Farm project. At that time, he also made a wish. Whether it is option rewards or real estate rewards, they are all ways to redeem promises. Gao He has never been the kind of person who eats meat by himself, but doesn't even let others drink a mouthful of soup. He is very supportive of Lu Chen's suggestion. I'll ask Xiaoling to go to a few more real estate companies to ask. There will definitely be a discount if we buy in a group. By the way, speaking of rewards, Gao He mentioned an employee in the company to Lu Chen by the way. This is a master invited by Gao He 2 months ago. The other party's name is Liang Yu. He graduated from the Department of Computer Science of Huhai University and is very talented in programming. Gao He also met Liang Yu by chance and was impressed by the other party's deep technical skills, so it took a lot of effort to poach him to Happy Entertainment, specializing in anti-cheating work. For game companies all over the world, cheating is always a lingering nightmare. In the past, many excellent games have been destroyed in the hands of cheating, especially online games, which have been deeply harmed by cheating. It is human nature to like to be opportunistic and reap without sowing. Hardcore players may disdain cheating, but most ordinary players are willing to exploit loopholes to get a sense of achievement in the game if they have the opportunity. It is precisely because of such a huge demand that cheating continues to be banned. Anti-cheating has also become an ability that online game companies must have. Otherwise, the life of an online game will be shortened by a lot. Happy Farm was a small game. It was not difficult to make, and the program was very simple. Furthermore, it was very interactive. If it was unknown, it would be fine. No one would waste time and effort to make a plugin. However, Lu Chen has long foreseen its popularity, so he attaches great importance to anti-cheating. Before the official operation, he repeatedly asked Gao He to prepare for this at any cost. The biggest feature of Happy Farm is stealing vegetables. If a plugin has the function of automatically stealing vegetables, then it will be difficult for users to resist the temptation to use it. Moreover, with the automatic stealing of vegetables, the fun of the game was greatly diminished. Liang Yu was poached under such a background. He originally worked in an IT company, and the treatment was not bad. Gao He directly offered twice the salary plus the promise of option dividends, and he got what he wanted. The price paid was worth it. Under Liang Yu's leadership, Happy Entertainment's anti-cheat team did a great job. There were cheats when Happy Farm started to become popular, but it didn't become a disaster until now. The team's contributions couldn't go unnoticed. After chatting with Lu Chen and Gao He couldn't wait to say, Chairman Lu, President Gao, I still have a program that I haven't finished writing. Gao He really had no temper with him. Then you go and do your work, and by the way, tell everyone the good news. Liang Yu promised, turned his head and left, not even saying goodbye to Lu Chen. Poor Chen Fei, the heavenly queen of the music industry, the most popular female star in the entertainment industry, was directly ignored by him. Gao He was a little embarrassed. Liang Yu, this person, to put it bluntly, people like Liang Yu are typical of high IQ, low EQ, and do not understand the ways of the world. But if it weren't for this, Gao He might not have been able to poach him from that company. Lu Chen smiled and said, it doesn't matter. I feel that he is very good and worthy of strong support. Lu Chen himself studied computer science. He knows that in the IT industry, there are many talented but unsociable people like Liang Yu. He is not asking him to do public relations and marketing. As long as he has the technology and ability, it is enough. He took Chen Fei's hand and said, let's go see the house. Gao He was surprised, now? Now. Lu Chen nodded, if you see it, buy it directly. Very heroic, He also has such confidence. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.